Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another great Let's Talk Sports show. I am back, baby. Tanner held down the fort for me yesterday morning. I had a great weekend. Took my daughters yesterday to a Kansas City Royals game. Royals won 2-1, or was it? Yeah, 2-1, 2-1, I think. So it was a great game. My daughter's very first professional baseball game. They'd seen the Springfield Cardinals play a Double-A team, but first time yesterday. Don't worry, I didn't buy the tickets because I would not buy Royals tickets because they absolutely stink. She got the reward for perfect attendance all year at school, so I didn't know if it was a punishment or reward that they were sending her to a Royals game. But nonetheless, we had a great time. She enjoyed her first professional game. So 2 games in 3 days. Friday night, I was at the Cubs game. My Cubs, I thought, was going to be back, but they lost yesterday to the Cardinals, but still took 3 out of 4. Losing right now to the Reds, but looks like we're buyers right now. So we'll get into all the baseball stuff, all the baseball trades with Jonathan the second hour, and then the first hour a little bit later we'll have Jim. I'll talk a little SummerSlam. I got to ask him a little about MJF and things like that. But man, it feels good to be back. It feels good to be ready to go. It's when you miss a show, it's just, man, you got so much to talk about. And the guys were saying some crazy stuff yesterday, and we're going to get into that a little bit later too. I wanted to share some stuff on this Jonathan Taylor stuff. But first, let's go ahead and bring in Johnny Cruz. I got to ask him about his second favorite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. I got to ask you, did you hear what he said about Sean Payton? Did you hear about him telling Sean Payton, keep your damn name, my coach's name out your damn mouth?
Yeah, it was honestly perfect. I love the way he responded to that. He's obviously backing his boy and his coach, Nathaniel Hackett. And Sean Payton, I think, was wrong. You know what I'm saying? He did come out his face, and he should have just honestly minded his own neck, worry about your own team. I know he was probably doing it to kind of, I guess, boost up Russell Wilson and the team, kind of like saying it wasn't y'all's fault that y'all sucked last year. It was only the coach, but you can put a little bit of that on the coach, but the team also sucked as well. But yeah, you never break the code that way and talk shit about another coach. So that was extremely classless by Sean Payton. So I'm glad that Aaron Rodgers came in high and tight on him. He deserved it.
Yeah, I am too. Aaron loves Hackett. It's been part of. They've had a lot of great success. Aaron Rodgers credits his last 2 MVPs to Hackett. Loves Hackett. They're friends. It feels like he owes a lot of success to him. Hackett is what it is, but that team also failed miserably. Not just, a lot of it was Russ at the same time. Maybe Hackett's not a head coach, but maybe he's pretty damn good OC. And there is we always hear the coach's code, right? You never go in and bash another coach. You never, that's just kind of the underwritten rule for that. So he said, get his name out, get out your mouth. They play later this year. I got Jets by 30.
Yeah, pretty much. So I guess that's the poetic justice that they're gonna meet. So Aaron Rodgers is gonna have an opportunity to kind of back his boy on the field as well, and kind of lay it on Denver. I think Denver is gonna be improved from last year, but yeah, I would not pick Denver in that game there. Not only does Aaron Rodgers have a chip on his shoulder, but now you added some more fuel to that by talking shit about his boy, his coach. So yeah, I'm anxious to see what the spread is going to be on that game, and of course we'll talk betting and shit like that with Scott or whatever. But that's going to be an interesting one to see what the line is the week of that game, and see if Vegas feels the same way that we do as far as the Jets wanting to just put a beat down on the Broncos.
Yeah, I think Jets by, like I said, 30. I don't know. I don't care what the spread is. I'm hammering the over, the spread, all of it. Give me a pissed off Aaron Rodgers every freaking time. I'm all here for it. And if you don't think they're just not going to run up the score and do petty. Aaron Rodgers is very petty. Yes, he remembers things. And he who laughs lasts the longest, So,
and Robert Saleh doesn't seem like that type of guy, but I think he's going to let them just do what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? Because he's going to defend his boy and his coach too. You know what I'm saying? They go back. They have history together, obviously, Saleh and Hackett. So, yeah, that's just, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, that was soft, you know what I'm saying, for him to come out his face and talk shit about the coach like that. And then, of course, that his apology afterward with the whole, 40 minutes later, I felt bad. Why did it take you 40 minutes to feel bad, bro? Like, you should have.
Yeah, feel bad. What happened was people say, hey, man, you probably shouldn't have said that, Sean. And by all accounts, people meet Sean Payton, they know every person that you've said is kind of Sean Payton's kind of a bit of a dick. Right. So people probably said, hey, coach, you shouldn't have said that. There is that, like I've mentioned, the unwritten rule. You don't bash another coach, especially the old regime and things like that. And so he's like, oh, yeah, I felt bad about it. No, you didn't. Right. You just now you're just being politically correct. So
right. Yeah, he caused some heat for that. You want to throw up some of these comments, or you want to bring in Scott now, bro?
Oh, yeah, let's go ahead. You mentioned betting, so let's go ahead and bring in Mr. Gambling himself, none other than Mr. Scott Cope.
Hey, the Jets are 1-point favorites right now.
Yeah, hammer that, Scott. Hammer that. 1,001%.
After yesterday, I already did. I had to go back and look at his comments again before I made the bet.
Yeah, we need to bet on that now. We need to bet on that now because I'm telling you, the week of it's going to be like 10 or 13, bro.
Aaron Rodgers is going to throw for 455 yards and 6 touchdowns that game. That's what's going to happen.
Scott, who are we betting on tonight or tomorrow, and who do we bet on today?
So tonight we were full on Reds-Cubs game. I bet the Reds first 5 money line. I bet the Reds money line. Although the Cubs are down 6-4 now, they're coming back.
Hey, let's go, baby.
Yep. Reds money line. I took Matt Olson to hit a home run. He hit a home run. Took Christian Yelich to get 2+ hits. He's got 3 right now. So, I heard all that stuff today, and so I just bet it. Usually I do strikeout props. Today was a short baseball schedule, so I didn't really do strikeout props today. I just stuck to one game, and I bet all around it. So
before you give us, or if you want to give you tomorrow's picks at the end of the back end of the show, that's great. Let me ask you, when these guys are getting traded, so for instance, Max Scherzer, I'm just going to use him as example. His next start, do you look at them? Do you kind of go over under innings, strikeouts? Do you always kind of take the under because it's a new team, new situation, or how do we look at some of these guys getting moved?
I will usually bet on that team, especially with Scherzer in Texas, because if he puts together 6 innings and gives up 1 run, Texas is going to score like 7 or 8. So, you got to look at the situation they're going to. Like Syndergaard went from the Dodgers to the Guardians, and he's pitching tonight. And he's got a shutout going. So usually, these guys want to show these new teams that, okay, you traded for me. This is exactly the reason you traded for me. So usually I go with them. Tonight I didn't go with Syndergaard because he just got lit up like a Christmas tree in L.A. So I stayed away from it, but I'm watching it closely for future down the line, for future bets. So that's what I do.
Yeah, I would think that you would want to go with the players going to new teams because they want to impress and they want to show the new team that they made the right decision by trading for them. So that's going to be interesting to see. Talk about a great fit right there. Max Scherzer going to Texas. They just needed some pitching there because they can score runs, man.
I actually like the move they made to get Montgomery more than I like the move to make for Max Scherzer. I mean, I talked a little bit about it yesterday, the Scherzer, and we'll get more in depth with Jonathan on that. But I like the Montgomery trade just because he's younger. He's really good pitcher. And I think a change of scenery. He was with your Yankees last year, wasn't he, Johnny, before he went to the park?
Yeah. We traded. It was a year and a half ago or whatever.
Okay,
we traded him for Harrison Bader. And a lot of Yankee fans were upset about that because he is a young left-handed pitcher. I mean, he's not a top of the rotation type pitcher, but he's going to eat up innings. He's going to have his starts where he's pretty dominant, but he's pretty steady.
Yeah,
he was young.
Steady. That change of senior from New York to St. Louis, he did really well. Mm-hmm. So maybe if they can replicate that coming back to the American League on a new team. and we'll get into all the baseball stuff here. Speaking of the Guardians, we'll bring in the team is selling. This man's got to be sad. He's on Scott or Johnny. We said you were on suicide watch last Monday. This man might be on suicide watch. The Titans are going to stink. The Guardians are absolutely going to stink. If there wasn't for the Royals, Tanner's Royals, they'd be dead last in the division. Give it up for Mr. First Down Sam.
Well, it's the Nick Show where he talks all that bullshit.
Nick, can I ask you something before you get into it with Sam?
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck, Scott?
No. Honest question. So when your daughter brought home these Royals tickets the other day, did you think it was a punishment? Did you think it was strange that all the Royals could sell tickets?
Scott froze, huh?
No, I'm not frozen. I'm not frozen.
I can hear you guys.
Can you hear me? What happened?
Can't hear nobody. You can't hear Scott.
I can't hear Scott.
What happened? I'm not frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Ask the question again, Scott. Ask the question again. I missed it all.
So when your daughter brought home Royals tickets the other day, did you think this was a punishment for the good for all the good that she did during the school year?
Yeah, well, yeah, I did. And she said, she's like, I got 4 tickets, and I was like, oh, I don't really want to go to a Royals game. Maybe she'll ask her mom to go. And then because I just assumed that's what's going to happen because we're a split family. She lives mainly with her. She's mainly lives with her mom. But then a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, she's like, Dad, I don't know if her mom put her up to it, but she's like, Dad, I want you to take me to the Royals game, to the baseball game. And I was like, okay, baby, I'm not going to tell her no, So
this is the only way the Royals can sell tickets is by giving them to schools and do what you want with it.
And you knew that yesterday was hot, and there was more people in the nosebleeds than there were anywhere close. And we moved all the way down. We sat in the sun for like 2 innings, and then the 3 girls were like, Dad, it's hot. We got to go. So then we moved back into the shade. So I kind of wanted to move into the sun. I was like, well, we can go home because it's a 3-hour drive, and I didn't really care. So I was like, I kind of moved into the sun to see if they would want to go home early. And we still stayed for the full game, but I was like, if I get them in the heat, they're gonna want to go home early. So
damn, he was trying to torture them to cut it short.
Hey, this is what happens when you go
to a Royals game. You hear me, girls? This is what happens.
I mean, if it was the Cubs game, I'm staying all 9 innings like I did Saturday night, Friday night in the heat, just drenched. But I figured with the 3 girls, that they might quit on the game, but they toughed it out. We watched all 3, all the whole innings, so it was a lot of fun. I think they enjoyed it. So they want me to take them to a softball game. One of my daughters plays softball, so I got to find a good college team to go to and take them to a softball game.
I'm gonna say,
sorry,
you
Sam.
You don't like Mizzou, and you know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah, we can go. I mean,
they all got softball.
I just got railroaded. Just got railroaded.
Yeah.
Hey,
you got suspense.
We'll jump right into yesterday. So I'm watching yesterday's show back, and you and Tanner are jumping on this JT train, and you guys are kind of really taking the side of JT. You said if JT, if he gets hurt, he would sit out a couple games. JT can't afford it, Scott. JT, first of all, he wants a new contract. And let me actually back all the way up here. So he's got a new agent. His new agent is Malky. Malky, I don't know if he's ever really dabbled in the NFL. I know Malky from being a UFC guy. He's actually represented several Jorge Masvidal is where I really know him from. That used to be Jorge's agent. He got Malky back in April to be his agent. So I think Malky's used to dealing with the UFC and demanding more money and things like that. Well, here's what you don't do. Number one, JT, you don't take on old white people with money because you're going to lose you're going to lose every time. And that's what he's doing. He's taking on Jim Irsay, the oldest white guy with money in the NFL. So that's not going to happen. 2, you're asking for a new contract. You know what his yards were? I didn't realize this last year till today. He had 4 touchdowns and less than 1,000 yards receiving. You want to give him a contract extension after that?
Nope.
Then you said, you and Tanner said, hey, you know what? He should, if he gets hurt, he should sit out a game or 2. He can't afford to. Scott, they're not paying nobody these running backs money. You already had a shitty year last year, and then if you have a shitty year this year, everybody's going to look at you and say that one year, that one big year you had, which is now 2 years removed, nah, you get what you get. He should just play. He needs to be there. And then I heard you guys say nobody wants to play for Irsay. Well, Irsay said, if I'm dead and gone, nobody's going to remember me or Jonathan.
Yeah,
what he meant by is that the NFL is a fucking machine. It's here today. If you're here today, gone tomorrow, the NFL machine keeps on going. They don't have. You know what they'll do? They'll have a little memorial for Jim Irsay, and then guess what? New owners, and we'll keep playing football games. Jonathan Taylor ain't in the league tomorrow. They're going to continue to play football games. Nobody's going to cry over their spilt milk like that. So that's what he was saying. He's done. And he has done things for his players. Now he's done crazy things, like gave fucking Jeff Saturday a job he was not qualified to do, but gave that job to him. He should have never, but he'll do anything for Peyton Manning. He'll do anything for Jeff Saturday. He'll do anything for guys like Edgerrin James. Gave Edgerrin James a Hall of Fame, or gave Edgerrin James a Super Bowl ring when he wasn't even on the team. So he's done right by players who have done him right and have actually done a damn thing. He paid Andrew Luck $25 million after he retired and didn't have to. So let's remember that guys still want to play for Jim Irsay if they're doing something in a Colt uniform.
Brave, Nick. Stunning and brave.
I agree with that. I agree with all those takes. Okay, but here's the thing. All right. So
however,
Jonathan Taylor comes to camp, and he's saying he never put out he had the back injury. This is what he said today. I don't know where this back injury came from. I never put it out there. Well, where did it come from? Did it come from Irsay? It
came from the trainers. They don't have to. He don't have to put it out. Guess who puts it out? The doctors who looking at him.
Right. So he's saying he doesn't have a back injury. That's what I heard today. Him saying he doesn't have a back injury.
Yeah.
Well, where did the trainers get this? Did they get it from Irsay? Did Irsay tell them?
That part I don't know, Scott. Again, you can't go up against old white people. That's the problem.
Right.
Old white people, rich white people are going to win. You should know that. You're not rich, so that's why you don't really know that. But if you were rich, you can't go up against old rich white people. Everybody knows that.
Right.
Old rich white people still run this country. They still run the NFL. And you can't. One guy, he's finding out what's it like to be a millionaire going up against a billionaire. And a billionaire is going to win every fucking time.
In essence, what it comes down to, Jonathan Taylor will make. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor will make his own decision at the end of the year. If he wants to play for the Colts, he plays for the Colts. If he doesn't, he'll go someplace else. But he's not. And then he's not going to get paid either. Exactly. I totally agree. These running backs, $10 million, $11 million. That's the cap right now. That's it. Because the franchise tag. Will the Colts franchise him? Probably. They'll probably franchise him at the end of the year. Because he's not going to sign a contract with them. He's going to try to go to Minnesota, Dallas, wherever he wants to go. But yeah, I mean, both sides. It's just a bad situation with these running backs right now. They want to get paid, but they're going about it the wrong way. They're holding out. They're coming up with little ailments, little maladies. It's the wrong way to go about it. Get on the field, play. Make your money, show that you're a running back that should make money, and that's it. That's what I think.
Here's that they have to understand. Sorry, Sam. They have to realize their shelf life is very short. Of all the things. So you got. I understand you're trying to maximize as much as that money as you can. But guess what? The league also knows your life is short. It's like a piece of shit car, right? That car you only know is going to go 5,000 miles. I'm not going to pay $20 million for a car that's only going to go 5,000 miles on it. I'm going to pay $5,000 for a car that only goes 5,000 miles because after 5,000 miles, it's going to shit out on me.
Right. No, I mean, I understand the point of that, Nick, because I mean, we all agree with that the NFL is gonna go on past everybody. You know what I'm saying? The NFL don't care about nobody. It's gonna keep on trucking. People are gonna keep on watching. So it doesn't matter. It's just the fact of the owner shitting on his own player, his best player, his stud running back. You know what I'm saying? So for him to come out at him like that was just kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like why are you throwing shade on your best player like that when it was completely unnecessary for him to come out with those comments? So that's more of what we were saying. I mean, yeah, the NFL is going to move on once these guys are not in the league or whatever. But I mean,
I
to
thought it
shit
was
on your best
strange.
player like that was just kind of wrong.
Go ahead,
I thought,
Sam.
it was strange. I thought it was strange that he just started like waxing philosophic. I was like, "What the hell? What?"
Right.
Like,
Hey, well, that's what
odd.
that's what Irsay. Now, I agree. He shouldn't be bashing his best player in the middle of negotiations. You know what I mean? Like that's not a smart negotiating
I wonder how
contract,
that meeting.
right? Like
I wonder how that
I
meeting
agree
went
with
down
you.
between them.
And here's the other thing.
I agree with you that, but like, here's the thing. I think what happened was, they were kind of going back and forth, and this and that. And really it was when it's been, JT had a different agent. And he said, I'll play this out, blah, blah, blah. When he had the other agent. And then when he switched agents, when he got to Malky, that's when this new trouble started. And I think Malky's used to dealing with a different Rich White, where it's one player, one guy can represent in the UFC. Yep. You can go, you win a couple fights, you prove yourself that you win that longevity. This is different ball game in the NFL. It's a team thing, and he's on the worst. He's got the worst, a running back who showed last year that he didn't play very well. And if he doesn't play well this year, nobody's going to want to pay him that money.
And here's the other thing. His quarterback is going to hold Jonathan Taylor down. Anthony Richardson. He's a runner. Okay, so Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis is never going to sniff what he did 2 years ago or a year ago. He's never going to do it again. So he in his mind has probably said, I need to go someplace else and build back up my reputation where I'm one of the premier running backs. Because if he plays 17 games this year, what's he going to get? 1,100 yards, maybe 8 touchdowns, maybe. Teams are going to say, "Hey, that's just that's a $10 million running back in our game." Plus, once they get to 30, they start to go on the downside. I mean, look at Joe Mixon; he's starting to go on the downside. Look at these guys that reach that 30-year age; they start to fall off the cliff. And sure enough, like you said, Nick, this will be another case with Jonathan Taylor. We'll get to that 30 age, and he'll start going down. So that's why these teams just say, we're going to run these guys into the ground at their first contract and see what they do. Guys never get a third contract usually. It's very rare. So.
And the Ernest here's got a question, and I'll ask that to you, Sam. That's your guy. How long you think your boy Derrick Henry has left?
I think this is it. The swan song is this year. You don't have to pay him after you cut him this year. There's no penalty. I think it's done. I think after this is it. This is him and Ryan Tannehill's last year. I think it's pretty clear that they're moving up to younger guys and things like that. I think it's time to move on. So I would imagine as the contracts go that they're done after this year would be my guess. Fire. There's a fire somewhere, guys. That's what they're doing. But hey, point of order to you guys. I understand like the unwritten rules here and what he said about Nathaniel Hackett and everything like that. Yeah, it was off color or whatever. But gosh, it was nice to have something like that other than the usual crap they peddle out there during press conferences and stuff like that. Yeah. So while I understand the bashing, I like the fact that he said something like that.
But there's different ways. There's different. This is how he should have said it. Is that I wasn't here last year. I don't know. They obviously underachieved. I'm here to correct that stuff. Let last year be last year. I'm more focused on this year. Not that was one of the worst coaching things I've ever seen in my life.
I totally agree. But what I'm saying is we actually got some like legit honesty out of somebody.
I get that. And then we murder him for it. But and then he's going to get murdered when they play the Jets because
they're going to put 45 on him.
Yeah. Johnny, before we bring in Jim Biringer, why don't you get us through this ad read, and we'll bring in our first guest of the night.
All right. Well, I got to let you guys know about our friends at underdog.com. You can download the app to any one of your mobile devices, your phone, your tablet, your computer. Download Underdog and use the promo code LTS, and they will match your deposit up to $100. Once again, it's underdog.com. Again, download the app, or you can go to underdog.com. Use the promo code LTS, and they'll match you up to $100. They have the best ball drafts of all sports. Your daily fantasy app, Underdog. Like I said, download the app or go to underdog.com. Use the promo code LTS.
All right, we've been.
Hold on, Scott. How do you stop yourself from not going underdog from your childhood cartoon shows? How do you do it? I just don't know how you do it. Amazing.
I'll watch it. I don't think I've watched one full episode of Underdog, to be honest with you.
I was about to say I've never watched it either.
He was just listening to, hey, Mr. Peabody, let's go in the time machine. now, Sherman.
They didn't even have TV when Scott was growing up, Sam. So just chill out. That's why he said he never watched it.
You know,
let's go ahead. We've been talking running backs. This guy's team's running back signed. Yeah. I guess his franchise. So it might as well have been his franchise tag. Give it up for none other than joining us every Monday night, legendary of a man, Mr. Jim Biringer.
Yeah.
What's up, boys? What's up,
Jim?
What's happening? How's it going?
It's going well. It's Monday night. I'm back with my maniacs, so it's a good thing.
Hey, Jim, what's your take? I don't know if did we talk Saquon last week? I don't quite remember. What's your take on that? And I didn't realize that it's really his franchise tag with a couple, pretty much a parlay. The rushing yards, which he's only hit once in 5 years, I think. The touchdowns he's never hit in any of his 5 years, and then the receiving yards he's only hit once in the 5 years he's been playing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's what is it, like a $500,000 raise to $11 million that he gets plus incentives in there as well. And then not to mention, think about this: the Giants can franchise tag him again next year. So if they really wanted to, and he get more money that way, and hopefully this gives them time to negotiate a couple-year deal. Keep him there, keep him happy. Let's see if he can do it. I equivalent this to a guy betting on himself, or a team saying, "Hey, we need a bridge deal in the NHL," and say, "Hey, you know what? Go do it again." And I think you got Daniel Jones there. Personally, this is how I would have done it if I was running the show. And I understand quarterbacks get paid exponentially more than running backs, but I would have taken care of Barkley first before Jones, and I would have gone Jones bridge instead of the way they're handling Barkley. Just because, again, how is this the real deal? Are we going to see it again? Look, I know the expectations on the Giants are higher this year, that people expect them to make the playoffs. And we did talk Barkley, but the problem was Barkley's deal happened again like a couple days later, a day later after we talked about the franchise tag, him not signing. So, I mean, look, I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's in camp. And we all agreed that this kid, the way he's raised, the way he was brought up, he wasn't sitting out. He had it, but he wasn't going to do it. And I think it's going to give Daniel Jones confidence. Again, the big question for me is, can they throw the football? Because what teams are going to bring this year.
Hey, I got a statement, and I want to see if you agree with me on this, Jim.
All right.
He had the opportunity for the franchise tag. For him to sign a 1-year deal with the incentives, fine. I think it was like you said, 500 or 900,000 to bring it up to 11. But now he put himself in a situation where they still got two years that they can franchise tag him. So he kind of put himself in a bad situation. They could have done. They were going to do.
Once he didn't sign the tender, Johnny, they could have franchise tagged him anyway, whether he signed the franchise tag or not.
That's what I'm saying. Let franchise tag me, and then you only have one more time to do it. Now they can still do it the next 2 years because he signed a 1-year deal. So he left himself open to now being franchise tagged twice.
I mean that was the big thing. I think a lot of people were saying is that's why it was such a bad deal for the player, because he opened himself up to being franchise tagged again. But if he puts up monster numbers, the Giants, maybe this time they don't get to this point because they already took care of Daniel Jones, and this just gives them the runway they need until next summer comes along. It just gives them like a year. I mean, you never know. They could do it. We saw it with Kirk Cousins. He got franchise tagged twice, and then he was out the door, and he got his money that way. Yep. But I just think the Giants, they'll figure out a way to give him an extension, and this just gives them time. And it also gives them a year to look at him, too. I mean, look, now you save yourself, okay, say they paid him, I don't know, $14 million, right? And he doesn't have a great year. Now you're stuck with that for, I mean, obviously nothing's guaranteed, but something would have been guaranteed where he gets hurt and all got to give him money. Now it's a 1-year deal, okay. Couple franchise tags. We'll see how it plays out. I think he's going to have a nice season. I think the Giants are going to do well this year. But again, it just gives them leeway in a negotiation tactic. It's like team elected arbitration in the NHL. Saw with Timo Meier, DeBrincat, guys like that. Just gives the team time to negotiate. And I don't think they can open up negotiations till later in the season anyway.
See, here's my thing with Daniel Jones and Barkley. Why couldn't you have paid Daniel Jones $37 million, $35 million, and then signed Barkley for $13 or $14 million? Did they feel like Daniel Jones wouldn't take anything under what he took? Is that the reason why they signed him to that contract? Because I don't think he's worth $40 million.
That's what the market was. You know, say I don't think if he's got a good agent, his agent was probably like, no, hell no, you ain't taking $1 less than whatever the market is. They ain't trying to do the Giants no favors. They're trying to get all their money.
I agree, but if they gave him a 4-year, 4-year, $120 million deal, 4-year, $140 million deal. And then they could have taken that money that they had a little bit of extra and went to Saquon and said, okay, Saquon, we'll give you a 3-year, $42 million deal with $30 million guaranteed. I think Saquon signs the deal right away and it's done because he's getting all this guaranteed money. I think it's about the guaranteed money now in the NFL more than it is about the contract.
Yeah, no one cares about the contract length because the guys want their guaranteed money because the contracts aren't guaranteed. Because the teams can just walk away from them and cut guys, and then the rest of it's not guaranteed. So they want their guaranteed money. Now, I personally think again, I said it off the top. I think they should have taken care of Barkley first before they take care of Daniel Jones. I don't think Daniel Jones is worth that money. I mean, Nick knows my feelings. The
only people that think that Daniel Jones is worth that money, Jim, is the Giants front office because they're the ones that gave it to him.
Right, exactly.
They have another choice.
Well, they probably don't even.
No,
think
that was
he's
the
worth
problem.
it.
There was nobody out there that
exactly.
There was no one out there, and as you know, Johnny said, the market dictated what they were going to pay him. But I think it's just too much for a guy that did it for one season. Because again, I'm okay with the contract if he's taken later on and he's shown progression. That was his best year, new system. Got to follow it up now. Now it's put up or shut up for Daniel Jones. He cannot regress one bit. He needs to continue to take the steps that he's shown over the last year to say, okay, I could take this team even further because there's still a lot of weaknesses in his game, and he just can't rely on running the football with his legs. He's got to be able to throw the ball down the field, and hopefully the weapons they brought in, you start with Waller, that helps. It's great. But again, teams take away the running game, you're going to have to beat them through the air.
Yeah, there's more pressure on him now than ever, Jim. I want to switch to some hockey stuff because we had a huge retirement this past week. That's, on Scott's team. Well, how you say his name? Is it
Patrice Bergeron?
Bergeron.
Yeah.
So I'll let you talk and then I'll let Scott talk because that's his guy too. Yep. What's that mean for what kind of career was Bergeron and for us, just semi-casuals, maybe even less of a casual?
I mean, look, guy was the best two-way center in the game. I mean, hands down, will go down as the best two-way center ever to play the game. I mean, he's up there with guys like I'm trying to think of who's off the top of my head, Carbonneau, guys like that. It's Bob Gainey, the legendary Canadian players, and then you have there, Bergeron. What did he do? Quadruple Gold Club. He won a World Championship. He won a World Cup of Hockey, 2 Olympic medals, a Stanley Cup. World Juniors with Team Canada. He's part of the best, probably the best draft class ever in the National Hockey League, 2003. Just look at how many guys made pros, guys won medals, Stanley Cups. I mean, that's probably the best draft class anybody's ever seen. And he's a first ballot Hall of Famer
No doubt.
when he's eligible. He's going straight to the Hall of Fame. 37, by the way, 37 is going to be retired next year. They just don't know the game yet. 37 is going to the rafters. You know, one of the best Bruins ever. The guy was there for 19 seasons, heart and soul player. You know the injuries he's had. I mean, think about it. Go back to 2013 in the Stanley Cup final. Punctured lung, broken rib, playing through that. I mean, the Bruins win a Stanley Cup 2011, 20 points in the playoffs. Brad Marchand, Pasternak. This guy was a tremendous leader. The writing was on the wall after they lost in Game 7. You could see it. But the smart thing he did was he didn't make a decision right away. He took time to see if the fire was still there to play, and his body was just like, no, it's not. And when it wasn't there, he said, call it up. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's going to come back. He's not coming back. Bergeron is not coming back. He was at peace at that press conference. If you watched it, you could tell this guy was at peace. He's happy with the decision, going straight to Toronto when he's done, enshrined in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And I don't want to hear, and I'm going to say his name, Mark Madden out of Pittsburgh. If you think he was underrated, I want to know the reasons why you think he's underrated. It's not just statistics. This guy, or overrated, I'm sorry. He was saying he was overrated, not underrated. I think he's underrated. A lot of people don't put respect on his name, but Patrice Bergeron is not an overrated hockey player. Mark Madden, I want to know the reasons why, because to be honest, I don't know where you're coming from in this. I've watched hockey a long, long time.
He's just a Penguin guy. That's why.
I was going to say that's just got to be hate right there, bro.
It's just the classic, and then the classic just came out from all the guys throughout the league on behalf of Bergeron. This guy, one of the best to do it.
For almost 2 decades, he was the Bruins. Basically, it was him and Zdeno Chara for almost a decade that were the Bruins. My brother's a season ticket holder with the Bruins, and we were talking the day after Bergeron retired. He's a top 10 Bruin, and there's no doubt about it in my mind. He's up there with Bobby Orr. He's up there with Esposito. He's up there with all those guys. He was the heart and soul of that Bruins team for years. And 2 years ago, there was talk of him retiring, and he came back. And the Bruins really needed him to come back for the last 2 years, because if he didn't, they'd have been in a world of hurt the last 2 years. So my hat's off to Patrice Bergeron. He is one of the more underrated NHL players I've seen in the last 15 years, Jim, I'd say.
I mean, he's the best face-off man I've seen in the game in a long time. Career 57.9% in the face-off dot. I mean, that's great numbers. I mean, anytime you need a big draw, 37, go out on the ice. Like, even Bruce Cassidy was in Vegas. I mean, he sent a nice letter to Bergeron. I mean, all these guys, they know what he means to the team. I mean, look, he was part of 2005 Team Canada, probably the best Team Canada World Junior team. Yeah. Crosby was on that team, Dion Phaneuf. I mean, the list goes on of guys that were on that team. I think Crosby lobbied to play with Bergeron and Marchand at the 2016 World Cup of Hockey. I mean, this guy's won 2 Olympic gold medals. He's done it all, and you could tell he was at ease at what he wanted at that press conference. It was very classy, very great way the Bruins did everything too.
And 2 more points on him. When guys around the league are coming out and, saying what they say about Bergeron, that tells you everything you need to know about what the NHL overall thinks about the guy. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of an award that comes, down from the NHL, the Patrice Bergeron Award. Do
you think they renamed the Selke after him? He's won it 6 times.
I think so. I think that's the way.
What's the Selke to us?
It's the best defensive forward in the game. Bergeron's won it a record 6 times. He just won a 6th this year. So that's a nice parting gift from the National Hockey League, because guys like Kopitar, Nico Hischier are on the way too. I think Nico Hischier will win a couple of those awards down the line. To be a finalist along with Bergeron and Mitch Marner, I mean, that's high praise from the writers and guys out there. But, I mean, Bergeron, this guy, unbelievable what he did. Just remarkable, the stuff that he played through. And you could tell his body just wasn't there. When you herniate a disc in your back, it's going to be tough. And he just didn't want to go through the grind anymore. Guys just don't want to just get ready for that training camp. And you know what? He's at ease.
And the second thing with Bergeron is he had chances to go elsewhere, but he said, nope, I'm staying in Boston. This is where I was drafted. This is where I grew up, this organization. I'm staying here. I'm finishing my career in Boston, and I'm not going anyplace else. And to me, that's the mark of a true player and person by saying, I'm staying with the organization. I'll take less money. I'll be here. I'll try to win a cup. I'll try to win another one. And he did everything he could to try to win that second cup. And
I mean, if Boston had more depth scoring in 2019, they would have beat St. Louis.
No doubt. Because when you get down 2-0 in any game in that series, you felt like it was over because the Bruins weren't scoring enough. So.
Once I knew St. Louis scored that first goal in Game 7, I'm like, this game's over.
Yeah.
Like, they're not scoring.
Yeah.
They had chances, and you go back to that game, right? If Boston scores first, they're winning the game. But
No
Binnington
doubt.
was just on his game that night, and then it just went the other way. And once they scored, it was game over.
Jim, I wanted to ask you about Philip Gustafsson. He reached a 3-year deal of arbitration with the Wild. I was reading that the Wild are kind of backed up against the cap, and they got this young kid in the AHL. Is Marc-Andre Fleury? Is he going to be traded now? You think? Is he going to be gone from the Wild? And what team do you think he could go to?
Well, I think this is Fleury's last year with the Wild, so he's probably going to be done after this season, and then Wallstedt will come up. Jesper Wallstedt, he's out of Sweden. But this is a good deal for the team. They avoid arbitration. They get a 3-year deal, $11.2 million, $25 million, 3.7 AAV. And the funny thing is Ilya Samsonov had an arbitration hearing, him and the Maple Leafs, and he was awarded a 3.55 AAV on a 1-year deal. And I said this was going to set the market for the rest of the goaltenders out there. Now, Jeremy Swayman of the Boston Bruins just had his arbitration hearing on Sunday. They have 48 hours, so we'll probably know tomorrow what the deal is. I have a feeling it's coming in between $3.55 and $4 million for Swayman because Gustafsson signed at 3.75. You can thank Samsonov for setting the market at 3.55. He's a great goaltender. You know, he was up and coming with the Senators, and then the Senators make the trade for Talbot, and now it looks really stupid because of what he did last year. But again, the Wild are up against the cap because of those buyouts to Zach Parise and Ryan Suter, but Bill Guerin took a chance. He needs to make his team better. It's just the fact that, you know, they have to be able to finish first in that division to avoid a tough matchup because they just can't run into a team like Dallas, like Colorado, because they just don't have enough of that power to get through those teams. They could always just be a perennial, you know, playoff team, but they just can't get past that first round. They have a good team. You know, Cale Addison's next up. They're probably going to have to move out some money. It's probably not going to be Fleury because, again, he has the 1-year deal, so probably at the end of the year. And he's not going to waive a no-trade clause to move again. So I think that at the end of the year, they just won't bring him back, and, you know, they're going to bring up the young kid. And now the Wild will be in business again, and hopefully those buyout numbers, with the cap going up, won't be as bad.
Hey, Jim,
yes.
Is Tyson Bowery a wild card for the Preds? I was reading something about that today in the Bleacher Report.
Tyson Barrie?
Yeah, Barry, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Tyson
Barrie. I
Barrie's
see the UR, and I'm like Bowery for some reason.
Tyson Barrie's a good player. I mean, what Barry Trotz is doing there, I loved what they did at free agency, to be honest. You take a gamble on Dennis Gurianov. He's a great offensive player. We saw what he did in Dallas. Bring in Ryan O'Reilly, a Luke Shen. Now, again, if they could have moved Saros, I think it would have helped them because, again, he gives them so many chances to win games, and the Central Division is so tough because, you know, you're stuck in that murky middle. If you get in, are they going to make it past the first round? Going to be tough. You know, just so many teams to pass there. But I like what the Preds have done. You know, I really, really do. I think Barry Trotz is, you know, taking care of some mistakes that David Poile made at the end of his tenure.
Jim, let's talk about the East for a minute. There's a team that you have banners right in back you. Are they the team that's going to challenge Carolina in the East to go to the Cup? Or is there another team that you see if teams stay like they are right now and don't make another move?
I mean, look, the Devils and Carolina are going to battle it for the Metro Division, no doubt. I think they're the two best teams in the conference right now until Toronto decides that they can be a part of that equation. The Atlantic Division is going to be fun to watch this year because the rising of Detroit, the rising of Buffalo, the Senators are going to be a playoff team because Vladimir Tarasenko just signed their 1-year deal.
Jim, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just remember this. Unfortunately, the Blackhawks owner passed away, so he won't be able to see that 10-year rebuild. So rest in peace, and maybe
rest in peace, 10-year rebuild. Rocky Warts. Look,
Wow.
As much as people want to talk about,
peace and peace.
As much as people want to talk about what happened with the Kyle Beach stuff, I'm gonna just say what he did. Ownership with Kane, Taves, bringing respect back to that team after some lean years in Chicago. They got their championships. Always sad day when an owner passes away. As far as back to the Eastern Conference. The Atlantic Division, like I said, Senators, they just signed Vladdy Tarasenko, 1-year deal, $5 million. That's a DeBrincat replacement. Sen's got to make the playoffs. Buffalo's up and coming. Bruins going to take a step back, possibly. I mean, you got Zacha and Coyle down the middle. They're going to go after Scheifele. What's going to happen with Swayman, as we talked about earlier. Tampa's still there, but again, they're a little older. They're a little different. Right now it's New Jersey, Carolina, to be honest. I mean, and if New Jersey can get a goaltender, they're probably the favorites to come out of the Eastern Conference. You just don't know. It's so early. But if you look at it on paper, yeah, New Jersey, Carolina is the two best teams in the Eastern Conference right now because a lot of teams got older.
Jim, you mentioned Carolina, and they just extended one of their, I guess he's probably their best player, maybe their Sebastian Aho to an 8 years, $78 million. Their GM said he's one of the best two-way centers in the league. Was that a deal that had to get done for them to continue to be that top of the team in the East?
Yeah, they had to sign Aho to a deal. Look, this owner Tom Dundon has been stingy on the money recently. Especially that you saw when Dougie Hamilton left via New Jersey. He didn't want to go over that $8.5 million season, but he had to do it with Aho because you just can't recycle players, and the team needs offense. Aho's one of their offensive juggernauts. He hasn't had a great playoffs when the Carolina Hurricanes get there. Now it's time to show, hey, buddy, you get this money now. You're getting paid almost $10 million a season here. You need to, step up. I know it didn't help that Svechnikov was injured. Pacioretty wasn't there. But I think, Aho's going to get his game in business. They bring Tony DeAngelo back. Again, they didn't want to sign DeAngelo to a $5 million deal last year, and that's why he gets bought out by Philly, and then he resigns. Carolina was in the mix for Tarasenko, but I just don't think they were willing to get to that $5 million range. I know there were reports that there were multiple years at 5-something. I'm not sold on it just because of the way the owner works down there, but that team's going to be good. Rod Brendamore's such a good coach, and they have that three-headed monster in net. So, yeah, Carolina needed to do this because you got to show willingness to sign your own guys and not let them walk.
Was that a good team for a good deal for him or a good deal for the team, or it's just equal?
Equal. You get him at 8 years, get him at a fair AAV. That's what the market is. Get him under 10, just a perfect number. Sveshnikov's there too, Teravainen. They have a nice young nucleus of players now that they're going to contend again, and they hope to get past that Eastern Conference final, but they're going to have to play the Devils in the Metro again. So, I mean, it's going to be whoever comes out of there is probably going to be the one going to the Stanley Cup final.
Jim, let's talk a little wrestling. Is MJF turning face on us? I mean, because by God, he'd be the best damn face in AEW.
Before Jim goes, I like this MJF a lot. I really do.
I've been a fan of MJF since the day he debuted in the company. This kid's just smart, understands the business, knows how to get over as a babyface or a heel. Look, the fact that this was just thrown together as like some segment, as a blind eliminator, and the fact that they've turned it into what it is, just says something about the talent and about what, and he just gets it, right? And he's the hottest act right now. Those guys, you can agree or disagree about, companies calling audibles and what should have happened. I'm okay with FTR winning on Saturday night. Yes, but I've been a fan of those guys since the day they debuted in NXT as a Revival, and I think they should have kept the titles. So, but you could still do stuff with these guys not winning the titles. I mean, does it stink that the champion got pinned? Yeah, it's a page out of WWE. That's what happened with, in that tag match with the Usos and stuff. But look, they're still so over. I think the way what played out on Collision, CM Punk coming out with the bag, reveals the AEW World title, puts an X through it, says he's still the real world champion. No one beat him for it. It's just great to see because you have this baby face on one side and this divisive guy on the other side. And when they collide, this is the match everybody wanted last year before the blow up at All Out. It was going to be MJF and CM Punk at Full Gear.
It's not even that. He's like his promos. I don't know if you caught the after promo.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
the after promo where he's talking highly of FTR, saying I can't remember who it was, whether it was Dax or he's like, me and you, we've always liked each other. Me and you, we have never liked each other, but I goddamn respect you.
Dax and Cash. He was talking about Cash Wheeler, that they've been friends, but him and Dax are not.
Yeah, and then he's like, you guys are the best damn tag team in the world. This is the best company in the world. Like, I love AEW. I love professional wrestling. Like, we bond over that. Like, that's not heel. That is not heel promos. That's face promos. I absolutely love it. MJF he can do both. I don't know if they're really going to fully go face because he's been a full heel this whole time and he's so damn good at it. But, man, he's giving us glimpses of, man, if he was a face, he could get over doing no matter what he wants because he's just that damn good. I believe he's the best professional wrestler, especially on the microphone. There is his in-ring ability is really good too. Now, I know he doesn't do a lot of crazy things, but he's smart. He's technical.
Oh, yeah, he's a great wrestler. He's a great wrestler. He's a great guy on the mic. Yeah, guy on the mic. Just so good at what he does. And we saw glimpses of it last year before he went out with with the dispute and everything. We know what he can be as a babyface, and we've seen glimpses of it. And I think that if this continues right now, this thing, we know we're getting a title shot at it. The turn can happen at the title, whatever. But I hope maybe they go the other way with it and have Cole turn on him and have MJF just be this baby face for a while because we know it can work. It can go either way.
I think maybe Roddy Strong does something. It'd be crazy. Go ahead, Scott.
So I'm going to say this, and this may not make a lot of sense. I think Punk and MJF are wrestling at the Wembley show. I think both champions are going to come together and they're going to make one champion. Number one. Yeah. It seems to me after watching Collision Saturday night that Punk is the guy that's going to turn heel and MJF is going to stay as the baby face. And I think that's going to be full on blown up at the Wembley show where MJF is perfectly fine playing the down the middle character. But I think him as a baby face for a little bit of a run here could be something that is big time in wrestling, even bigger than anything that's come across.
Look, we saw how it happened in 96, 97 with Austin. A similar thing is happening here. The crowd just tells you, you got to go with it sometimes. And they turned Austin. They had the double turn at WrestleMania 13 with Brett. I mean, and
I think we could get something like that. Alan wants to know your thoughts on Hayes versus Dragoff last night. I haven't watched NXT in a long time, so
I have not watched NXT in a long time. Heard it was good. I'll check it out this week when I have some time. It's just a lot going on, and I forgot the Bash was on last night. To be honest, I'm getting ready for SummerSlam, and I was coming off back-to-back great weeks of Collision. So I was kind of just giving myself a night off from wrestling and gearing up for a big weekend this weekend.
Speaking of SummerSlam, I want to get your thoughts of SummerSlam before we get you out of here, Jim. I am very underwhelmed. I have, outside of the Bloodline storyline, I am just meh. Am I going to watch it? Yes, but
of course you're going to watch it.
I don't feel great. It's
Cody versus Lesnar? Yes, that doesn't do anything for you?
Not really.
A shit ton for me.
Not really.
It does a shit ton. What? Oh my
Sam, what do you outside of LA Knight and the thing that he's going to be involved in, which we know you're a fanboy of? What
Stan?
What,
I'm an LA Knight Stan.
yeah. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
what
I think
what
the
match are
Rose-
you looking forward to?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
look,
looking forward to
obviously,
Cody Rhodes. I mean, the bloodline thing is fine. And I get that everybody's on it, and I get that you guys disagree with that. First of all, MJF should totally stay heel. I think he sucks as a babyface. So you can take that to the bank. Second of all, point number 2, I listened to your point, so shut up. Anyway, so point number 2 is I'm happy that they basically had to force their hand to put LA Knight there after his merchandising sales went number 1, 3, 4, and 5 in the sales. And now we're getting to SummerSlam where we're going to have the Bloodline, Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar, and LA Knight, who's really hot right now and over with the fans. So I don't think it's meh. Okay, that's what I'm saying to you.
But here's what I'll say about Brock Lesnar. Doesn't it seem like that after this match he's going to disappear for a while?
yes.
Yeah, he's going to
Yes.
be the Undertaker. He's just going to show up every now and then. That's what he's going to do.
No, I think he's done. I think this could be his
Oh,
last
you think
match
he's
in
like
WWE.
officially done?
Yeah.
It's possible.
I think he's
possible. I can
gone.
see it.
I
Yeah,
think
he
he's
could
gone. I just get the feeling that
has been
Lesnar.
ratcheted up so much.
I get a feeling they don't have another storyline built in for Lesnar, and he sees it and says, "I'm done after this match. I'm going."
But we don't even know what this storyline was because that's
Right.
never
He's just
been
beating the crap out of
explained to us.
Cody. Yeah.
No,
Yes, yeah.
But there's been no explanation since that night on Monday Night Raw when he turned on Cody why he did it. There's been
Maybe we get the exclamation down the road is like
tonight. Yeah.
is
Or,
Paul
SummerSlam.
Heyman comes out and says it was me, Cody. I'm the one that told Brock.
I knew
to turn on
you were going to beat the tribal chief, so I got Brock to beat you up like that.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Simple.
I mean, I guess that it's simple enough to where that can happen. It's great.
And Paul Heyman
but-
face.
Yeah, I mean, look, Paul Heyman, yeah, it's great. We'll see. I mean, look, I'm looking forward to see what we
Debbie
can get from
Downers.
Rollins and
Lot of
Balor again. I want to see Rollins, Balor again. Maybe Priest cash in somewhere along the line. Maybe EO cashes in too. I personally
Hope she
think,
does.
I personally think they should have figured out a way to get LA Knight into the U.S. title scene, not the stupid battle royal.
Exactly.
Like,
I don't understand.
there's no reason for him to be in that. Like, again, I normally don't quote guys, but Brian Alvin, look, professional wrestling is fake and it's scripted. You can change the script, right? We don't have to have things set in stone and follow it. This is why it's called pro wrestling. And when guys are hot and over, you can change things, but you need to be able to. But when you do it, you need to be able to write it out for things down the line. And they've missed on that with a lot of things in both companies. It's not just. I'm not being highly critical of WWE, and I'm not being highly critical of AEW. But throughout the years, they've just not written it long enough to where it makes sense. Like, we look at Austin Theory. The guy had one of the biggest rubs at WrestleMania.
Baby
and they haven't
Cena,
done
baby.
and they haven't done jack squat with him.
They have
Like,
not.
Yeah, nothing.
I said the same thing about Owens and Sami Zayn.
Same thing too. I mean, you had things lined up with it.
I kind of
but
felt
that-
like they started out hot and got cold. That's how I kind of felt.
But
about
this is
Sami
the
Zayn.
problem when you
Yeah.
don't invest in a tag team division. You don't have the proper tag teams. You just throw makeshift teams together all the time. Like, this is why you need tag team wrestling. Like, it was a foundation of professional wrestling for a long time. WWF, this is what built companies. Is people want to watch tag team matches. You go back even before the Attitude Era, tag team titles, they mattered. And that's why AEW is so good with their division. I personally think they can utilize it better because FTR should just not be running through guys that are just two singles guys. They should be running through that division again. But again, that's the problem with not having a proper division and just splitting up all these tag teams that are hot. Eventually, does Chad Gable get a run? I mean, Gunther and McIntyre should be a slugfest. History says at SummerSlam, the Intercontinental title changes hands. Who knows?
Billy Gunn leaving his boots out. That was That kind of hurt me a little bit. I won't lie.
Part of the storyline. Claim will win the trios titles.
Is it? Okay.
I think so. I that's my opinion of it.
It would surprise me either way. Like, the guy's up there. He still does great. He does a great job. And
Jim, we'll get you out of here on this.
Dang.
Give us your bold prediction for SummerSlam. Yeah, get the hell out of here, Sam. I run the show here.
Tanner!
Bold prediction. Well, I mean, I think, bold. I'm going to go with it. Bold prediction. We're going to have a new Intercontinental Champion at SummerSlam.
Drew McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre wins the Intercontinental title.
Sam, I'll ask you the same question. What's your bold prediction for SummerSlam?
I think Priest cashes in and gets the belt off of Seth Rollins or I'm sorry, Austin Theory. I think he cashes in. I'm ready for it.
He cashes in on Austin Theory?
No, I'm sorry. He cashes in on Seth Rollins.
And Escobar's going to win it. I don't think Escobar's going to win the U.S. title.
No, I don't
think so.
No,
I don't think so.
No.
You don't think
Scott,
what's your nice baby face?
No.
No.
Escobar has he has no momentum, no nothing. Like he's just there.
Just like,
it kind of felt like they were trying to push it. You're right.
And I don't think that match is happening at SummerSlam. I believe it's happening on SmackDown.
Well,
by the way.
I'm with is it not? Okay, maybe I misread the card. Damian Priest catches in on Finn Balor. I think that would be really fun. Scott,
you got a bold prediction?
Jey Uso beats Roman Reigns for the title.
Boom.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
that is bold.
Yeah,
that's bold.
Buddy. Love it.
But I don't think Jey Uso is going to hold it for a while. I think Roman Reigns is going to win it back again at the next pay-per-view.
Okay.
That's what and then Cody's going to win it WrestleMania next year over Roman Reigns. That's what I think.
I think Jimmy returns and turns on Jay. There's a bold prediction.
Oh, I like that.
They've been teasing that a lot.
Or does another member of the family show up?
If you smell
again, I will believe
Rock
is cooking. I
love it. Thank you, Nick.
I will believe it when I see it. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
The guy was rumored for how many months for WrestleMania? Never happened.
Don't be a jabroni. Don't be a jabroni, Jim.
If
I'm
Brock
not being a
does show up,
jabroni. I'm being a realist.
Exactly.
if Brock does
Until The
show up,
Rock's
he's
music
Austin Reigns.
hits at SummerSlam, then I'll be like, okay.
Hey, if that happens, if that music hits, I'm gonna lose my shit. I will lose my shit.
I will have tears. I will have tears right now.
Let me ask you guys something. If Brock does return, would you see it as remember Hogan turned? Would you see it as the crowd pops for him big, and then he turns and screws Jey Uso?
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. That would be great.
Man,
that would be awesome, man.
I'll take that.
Yeah,
I would eat that up. That more heel Rock. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hits the Rock. Hits Jey Uso with the 1, 2, 3 with the rock bottom. All
Give him
right,
the
Jim.
rock bottom.
We'll get you out of here. We appreciate you. Legendary
Always a
of a
pleasure,
man,
Jim.
covers all things hockey, all things wrestling. Good up,
not a jabroni.
Mr. Jim Biringer, everybody.
Thank you, boys.
Yeah, Jim.
Enjoy your Monday night.
Take
Always
care.
a pleasure talking
Readless
with
Jim
you guys. And remember, with everybody saying everybody loves L.A. Night. Yeah.
Be safe, bro. Have a good night.
Be safe. Have a good night, everybody.
Sam just creamed in his pants a little bit. Johnny, why don't you go ahead and get us through this other ad read before we bring on Mr. Baseball himself?
Mr. Grisham.
Sorry, I'm trying to do 3 things all at one time. Hold on.
And we know you can't even do 2.5 things.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
Just tell her to wait.
I only need to do 2 things, and then I get the job accomplished. So I'm good. Just want to let people know about Owner's Box. Owner's Box is a daily fantasy app. Always use the promo code LTS, and they will match you up to a $500 deposit, which is insane to me. But you don't have to put up $500 if you want to just put up $100. They'll match the $100, $200, whatever. But they will match you all the way up to $500. There's more chances to win because there's more games in the Owner's Box. Go to the ownersbox.com or download the Owners Box app. Again, make sure you use the promo code LTS, and they will match your deposit up to $500.
Hey, guys, we are in the middle of the trade deadline. Trade deadline ends tomorrow, I believe, 4 Eastern. Man, it has been going on. We've already seen Scherzer traded. There's reports Verlander's going to be traded. My Cubs are trading. They're not even trading away, guys. We're buying in. Man, and to talk about it all is none other than Mr. Baseball himself, Jonathan Grishman. Jonathan, what's up? To me, the
What
trade
an awkward
deadline.
silence.
Oh, jeez.
Hold on, Jonathan. Hold on, Nick. Can you spell the guy's name that the Cubs got from the Nationals?
Jared Candelier. He used to be he used to play for us, and we traded him to the Tigers for somebody back when we were good. And now
the Cubs had to have him back. They can't win the World Series without Jaime Candelario.
Heimer, that's his name. Heimer.
What's going on, Jonathan?
Hey, I like the trade, Scott, and we got the Royals reliever. Jonathan, to me, the trade deadline, there is opening day, the All-Star break, the trade deadline are the most exciting parts of all of baseball season until October, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, this is as far as all the sports that goes on, in NFL, NBA, MLB. In my opinion, MLB's trade deadline is probably the most exciting trade deadline that takes place because there's so many moving parts that are going on, and you're so, especially this year because of how the rules of the schedule changed, and you have more teams involved as far as that are talking about buying, and you're starting to see a little bit more of teams that are beginning to sell. Yankees are talking about a partial sell. We didn't know what the Cubs were going to do. You kind of had a little bit of idea of what everybody was going to do, but now at the last minute, everybody's making their decision. So we had a lot more excitement this season, I think, in my opinion, for the trade deadline than we have in the past, just because of how the schedule has laid out. You have more teams that are at the moment contending, and not a lot of teams that are selling that what we thought we were going to do. So this is exciting. I love it. You're kind of seeing more going on right now, and by 4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, it should be even more. Like there should be moves left and right thrown around, trades flying off the handle. It's a very exciting time right now in baseball.
Yeah, it is. And then I think that second wild card's that very helped out a lot of teams too, because it's like, hey, we're only 4. You could be out of your division, but you're 4 back of the second wild card, so you can still kind of try to buy in and go for the second wild card. The big news is obviously the Mets are really one of the worst teams, and they're all shitty, and they're traded Scherzer to the Rangers. What's your thoughts on there? And then the Rangers got even smarter. I like the trade for Jordan Montgomery more than I like the trade for Scherzer.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was kind of more high that they were trade for the Cardinals. The Rangers would trade for the Cardinals, whether it would be Flaherty or Montgomery. I've been saying that with Allen and Scott for the last month and a half. That I thought that was one of the main targets they were going to get was one of the Cardinals pitchers. I think the Scherzer trade for the Rangers was more of an insurance type of move that they can make to assure themselves they have a pitcher who has postseason experience, and Scherzer has that. He, been on a World Series team with the Nationals. He's pitched in the NLCS a handful of times with the Dodgers. He's had a lot of postseason experience. So that allows you someone that you can trust, regardless, in my opinion, on how he's performed over the last 2 or 3 postseasons that he's pitched in. He has the experience that no pitcher other than and Scott, tell me if I'm wrong here, that Nathan Eovaldi has some postseason experience, I believe, from the Red Sox years ago. He was on the World Series team, I think. Am I correct on that? Yeah. So you have one pitcher he's been up and down. He's on the IL currently. You need another one, and that's what they brought Scherzer in for. Who he's a good pitcher. Is he the best pitcher in baseball that he was for a good portion, the last 5-6 years? No, he's not that anymore. But the experience he brings in the postseason is invaluable to a team like the Rangers, who's trying to hold off the Astros. So I get it. I get the why they brought him in. It didn't cost too much. Yeah, you lost Luis Angel Acuna. You got some money in the deal with Scherzer, so it didn't really hurt your farm, the process to where you can make that move to get Jordan Montgomery as well. So I get it. I like the Montgomery deal a little bit more for the Rangers, but the Scherzer deal trade does make sense for them.
So, Jonathan, I'll ask you this. and you can't say it's the Taylor Hearn trade because you can't. That's out. What do you think is the best move so far? And I'll ask again tomorrow because the deadline will be over. What's the best move of the trade deadline so far, in your opinion?
So far, I think the Rangers have done a great job. I'll say this, I know the most active team right now has been the Angels.
Yep.
I have not been excited for what the Angels have done. So I want to say to what the Rangers have done has been good. And I'll give you another one that's a bit more underrated. Blue Jays trading for Hicks.
Agreed.
For Jordan Hicks, bring him in for a pitcher that they need some bullpen help. Agreed. That was a very underrated move that the Blue Jays made in helping. I think they need to do one more trade though. I think they need a starting pitcher now. But that was a very underrated move. So I'm actually leaning towards just because of that of how important that is for them. And not to make this a Rangers show because I'm sure Alan will be ready for that tomorrow. I'm going to say as far as just the move itself of bringing in Jordan Hicks for the Blue Jays was a very important move for them, especially if they can make one more trade tomorrow to help that pitching staff. I think they're going to do a really good. I think that would be a huge boost to their postseason opportunity.
Yeah, that's a perfect Rays move getting Savali from the Guardians. Guy that's under the radar, that's not the big name, that's short money. That's the perfect Rays move that they're going to do. They just don't spend money at the trade deadline. That's the whole thing. And so I was underwhelmed with that move, with that trade, Savali. They need to do something else because right now the Orioles are on a roll right now. The Rays need to do something else or they're going to lose touch with the Orioles, I think. You agree, Jonathan?
I definitely agree, especially because Baltimore is active right now. They are very active in looking at players to trade. So you can't survive by adding Savali to that pitching staff. You need to do something a little bit more because if the Orioles get what they want, and there's a lot of talk right now, a lot of conversation about Verlander, I don't think that's going to happen. But they are going to bring a pitcher in at some point tomorrow. If the Orioles get one of the guys that they are high on, you're going to be in very big trouble if you're Tampa. So you have to add another pitcher. You have to add another player into that roster, into that pitching staff. I just don't know if they really want to do it because they value their farm so much. They value their young guys so much. They don't necessarily want to part with them unless it's someone who's a major leaguer that's under control for a few years, which that rules out a lot of guys that are available right now. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do tomorrow. And if Baltimore gets their way, they could make a big move, a big splash that really gives them the division.
They've been on the reports that they are in on Verlander. Do you think that's possible? I just think they're going to make the Mets eat that, or even Dylan Cease. I'd love Dylan Cease to go to the O's if more than I would like Verlander.
Yeah, I would be more high on Dylan Cease, but I think Cease is a free agent at the end of this year. I believe he is. I could be off on that one. But that would make more sense as far as your clubhouse mentality. A younger team, Cease is a younger pitcher. He may fit in a little bit better than what a Verlander is. And I don't know Verlander how available he is. I know there's some talks after there was a yesterday's start that he was not really happy about how things are going. Or one of his last starts, there's been a lot of talk about how being outspoken against the Mets front office right now. But I don't see him being a player that's going to get moved unless there's one team, and that's the Houston Astros, because he's familiar with them. He's familiar with the organization, the owner. That would be the only team that I would think that he would waive his no trade clause for. I don't think he would go to Baltimore. I don't think he would go to Atlanta. I don't know about LA. But at the same time, I don't know how much LA even wants him. I know there's been some conversation about the Dodgers, but I don't really know where that fits as well. So the only team that I could see that he'd be wanting to go in a trade that he would waive his no trade clause to would be Houston. But at the same time, does the Mets really want to do that? Because you traded Scherzer, and if you trade Verlander, who do you have to replace them as far as in your farm system? Or they don't have anybody. So you're essentially guaranteeing yourself that you may get caught by the Nationals and be a last place team with a payroll that's still minus Scherzer, and you're still paying a portion of Scherzer. But you take Scherzer and Verlander's out, you're still paying almost you're paying $260 to $270 million to your club. and you're a last place team. So I don't see how they can justify making that move, but it would be smart, but I just don't see them doing it.
Scherzer's the only person in MLB history to get $15 million by 3 teams: the Nationals, the Mets, and the Rangers, all paying him $15 million. So there's
the thing. If you Nick and Jonathan and guys, if you move Verlander, the Mets need, because Carrasco is washed. He's done. He's completely done. The Mets are gonna, if they move Verlander, the Mets are gonna need 4 starting pitchers next year after Kota Sengai. 4 pitchers. You can't expect you're going to get 4 starting.
They'll go out and buy them, Scott. Their owner, we already just saw their owner throw money away.
But I don't know if anybody's going to want to come to the Mets next year as a free agent. That's the whole point. Unless the Mets are the only team that's bidding for them, I don't think anybody's going to want to go there because it's just a mess right now. So,
yeah, they'll have the money, but as we kind of saw, here's the. I'll go this a little bit further. We kind of saw what this free agent class looked like for pitchers. And not a lot of them have done anything major to help a team be a winner. Right. So are you going to really bank yourself on trying to add 3 free agent pitchers in this class of free agency? I don't know. Especially if they do try to make Shohei a priority and they fail to sign Shohei Ohtani, then what do? You're going to have to overpay. You're going to have to overpay guys, and you're going to be in the same boat that you're in currently right now with a flawed roster. So they're in a very, very tough position right now. The Mets are, especially if they go down that road of trying to go after Ohtani. They failed to get Ohtani, and they're going to have to overpay pitchers to even bring them in. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Marcus Stroman would be maybe an option, but he was already in New York. Does he want to go back? I don't know about that one. Looking at Clayton Kershaw as a free agent after the season. Charlie Morton, Martin Perez. There's not a lot. Julio Urias, maybe you could probably overpay him from the Dodgers, but he's not a number 1 guy that you're going to need to give the ball to. Opening day and number 1 guy to go win ball games for you. So this free agent class is not great. What do you do if you're the Mets? If you do decide to trade Verlander, you're going to be in a very tough position, and you're going to have to overpay somebody that's out there just to have a pitching staff ready to go.
And by the way, Jonathan loves this Mets turmoil. He absolutely loves it. So.
Jonathan, the Dodgers have been buying a lot here. They've been making some moves. It seems like they've kind of replaced their shortstop from Sam's Guardians. They've added some pitching. Is this move's going to finally, kind of secure them in that NL West?
Yeah, I don't, because I know the Giants are kind of still figuring out what they're going to do. There's been talks about them making a trade. There was a rumor going around about them, trading for Vaughn Grissom with the Braves, which would be one of their pitchers would be part of that deal, whether it be Alex Cobb. I don't think they're going to trade Logan Webb, but Alex Cobb would be one of them that would be a part of that deal if they go down that road. So I don't know if the Giants are really all in to compete for the division. I think that the Diamondbacks have come back down to earth quite a bit in the last couple of weeks or so. So if the moves pan out, and that's a question mark right now for the Dodgers because they're kind of fluttering too at the moment as well. They're 4-6 out of the last 10. They're not pulling away, even though the Giants are also 4-6 and the Diamondbacks are 2-8 in the last 10. This is the time where the Dodgers, we've seen in the years past, they pull away and they win the division at this point. We haven't seen that right now. And I know, getting Ahmad Rosario was a good move because you needed a shortstop, but Ahmad Rosario average to above average, shortstop. So how much better is it going to be? I don't know. We'll see here in the next couple of weeks to a month just how much of a difference maker he is. But this is kind of we talked about before, and we said this on Tuesdays about the Dodgers. There's still something still doesn't feel right about them. Something just still doesn't feel right. They are the best team in the West, in the NL West right now, but the margin's still not very big. They're hanging. They're letting the Giants and Diamondbacks hang around right now, which in years past that doesn't happen. So I think they need to do another move in the pitching staff. They're going to need to get one more just to kind of make sure they can push themselves a little bit further ahead and kind of get a little bit more breathing room. Otherwise, they're going to be kind of letting these teams hang around for a little bit, and that's going to be kind of nerve-wracking in LA.
Jonathan, they did.
What are the? Oh, go ahead, Sam.
The Guardians it doesn't appear are going to be moving Shane Bieber anytime soon. Do you think that's a good move or is that a bad move?
If he wasn't hurt, I think that would have. If he didn't get his elbow hurt, they would have been able to trade him. The problem is you don't know the long-term effects of this season for Shane Bieber's arm to how long it's going to hold up. And I think right now that no team, it's not necessarily by their choice. I think if they had the opportunity to trade Shane Bieber, they'd still do it. They would be able to do it. But the issue with the elbow, and that scares teams so much right now, even if there's no structural damage at the moment. Yeah. How long is until there is something that's wrong if he makes a start or if he comes back? So there's a lot of question marks with Bieber. I think if they had the option to, they would trade him and they'd move on from him and get what they can get, get as many prospects as they can. But they have no choice right now, which if they don't trade him now, they will trade him in the offseason. That's going to more likely be done, in the hot stove after the season ends. Shane Bieber won't be in Cleveland much longer at that point, just because in that stage the value goes back up. Once the value goes back up, you can be able to make that move and be able to make that trade. Right now, they just can't do anything about it.
Hey, John, do you think we're going to see a blockbuster move before the deadline tomorrow, or have we pretty much had it already as far as the Scherzer? Now that San Diego saying they're going to hold on to Juan Soto. Do we see something happen? The Cubs actually won a few games in a row, so now they're not going to trade Cody Bellinger.
We won 6 in a row there. That's not a
blockbuster or a big name get traded tomorrow.
I don't. I don't think. I think we're going to see some good moves. I don't see a blockbuster move unless somebody blows the Padres away for Blake Snell. I think that would be the big blockbuster move that could happen. But at the moment right now, I as you said, Bellinger's not going to get traded. The Cubs are right in the thick of the Central race, 4 games back. They are 3 games out of the
wild card.
Yeah, 3.
So you have Bellinger staying. Stroman, I still feel like they could move just because they know there's no long-term play for Stroman in Chicago, but
he wants to stay. So there is a long-term. They just don't want him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he wants to stay. We talked about this. I talked this with you, Nick, before. He's been vocal about wanting to be on the north side, but the ownership has made no interest to want him to be there for long-term. So I could see the Cubs moving Stroman just because, hey, we're not going to pay you. We're not, which I don't understand. Stroman's a consistent, good pitcher, and he can't find a home, to stay long term. Whether it was Toronto, whether it was New York, whether it's Chicago. Now I don't understand. Send him to Atlanta. I'd love for Marcus Stroman to be in Atlanta and be behind Max Fried and Spencer Strider and be able to be a 2 or 3, and let him be home there for a while. But I think Stroman could be. I think if the Padres get blown away for Blake Snell, that could be a big move that gets made. But to answer the question, no, I don't think we're going to be seeing a big blockbuster move just because I think the market's kind of cooling on those names. The teams know that, and I said Padres, even though they're not doing well this year, they're still set up for next year. And that's what they even if they don't make that run this year, they still are. They have guys that are lined up long term for next season as well, and they don't want to really give up on that. So, and they may want to find a way to keep Hader and Snell long term after the season.
What do they do? Because, they're 4 back of the wild card right now, but they're 8 back of their division. Do they just stay pat and just say, hey, we still think we can win this wild card, and we're gonna say, or do they do a mini sell where we see Hader or maybe Snell go?
I think they stand pat. Like I said, unless they just get blown away, which who's going to do that? The we're kind of seeing. It's kind of surprising to me that the relief pitcher market hasn't really been as high as I thought it was going to be. And I know there's been a lot of interest in guys, but we haven't seen, the high price guys really get a lot of talk about. We've been seeing a lot of the mid-level relief pitchers get moved, and Jordan Hicks being one of the higher end pitchers that got moved so far, but we haven't seen, we haven't really heard much about David Bednar. We haven't heard much about Daniel Bard. We haven't heard much about Hader lately. So I don't know if the market is there for them to get traded. And if that's the case for the Padres, you're not getting a haul back for those kind of guys. You're going to just hold them. You're going to hold them and try to make your run this year. and go from there with that. And if it works out, and you make the postseason, you look like a genius. If it doesn't, hey, we'll figure out what we do financially. We have a lot of money in San Diego. We'll make a move. And if we lose those guys, we get a compensatory pick, and we go find another relief pitcher that we can bring in and go from there with. So there's a little bit of more options for San Diego. But they're still in a little bit better shape than some teams that are in a seller's position, just because they do have a lot of talent on their roster. They just have underwhelmed right now, and that would be a different conversation to have in San Diego, but you still have something, and you're not completely out of it right now as far as a wild card spot. So it would make sense to stand pat.
So, Jonathan, do you think all these trades that happened early were because teams were worried about getting other teams involved at the deadline? I mean, the last day you hear all these teams usually involved, 4 or 5 teams involved in like a Scherzer or somebody else. It's smart of teams to hit it early, because if they hit these trades early, then there's no teams involved but them. So do you think that's the case this year more so than any other year? Is that teams were worried if we don't get them early, we're not going to get them?
In a way, yeah. In a way, I think we kind of saw, as I said, go back to as far as the names of the players who've been on the market and who did get traded. Aroldis Chapman was really big name. We talked about that with Allen. Yeah. And the Rangers didn't give up a lot. So to get Chapman, which was a little bit surprising, because Chapman was having a really good year for the Royals, being part of the season on a very bad team, and they didn't get really all that much. So they kind of it made it look like the market was going to be hot, a high market, but it hasn't turned out that way. So teams I think teams took advantage of what the market really was for trades, and we're kind of seeing it fall into line the same way right now as we get close, as we're now, less than 24 hours, much less than 24 hours away from the trade deadline coming up. But the market just never really heated to what we thought it was going to be. I'm so surprised by that. And teams took advantage of it. Absolutely. And you didn't have as many teams you're competing against, in June and early part of July at that point to make trades. So yeah, I think we saw that happen. Teams took advantage of a cold market, which was surprising, and you're seeing a little bit of those teams benefit right now. And now how that affects tomorrow, we will find out and see. Because if it all of a sudden blows up and we see these guys just sort of being traded left and right, and they're kind of getting overpaid a little bit to make those deals, that changes the complexion. And those guys who made those trades early on, geniuses. If it doesn't happen, I think you have to sit back and wonder why was the market overblown to what it was supposed to be, but it never took shape. I think that's going to be an interesting outlook over the next few weeks.
Does it seem weird the Yankees have made 0 moves?
I was just about to ask you. You made the comment about they maybe have some. I think they should sell, to be quite honest, because I don't see a move
I think they should too.
that they can make that's going to make them that much better, where they'll actually be able to compete for a title. So why not? Glaber and a couple of relievers, trade them off and try to get something for these guys.
Because here's my answer to your question is what is the value of Gleyber Torres? Like, I mean, controllable middle infielder who's an average player. I mean, you're like, that's not a sell. Like, if you're selling your big price guys, and you're going to have to eat again. We're talking about the Mets. Mets sold Scherzer. They sold David Robertson. They sold Scherzer. They ate money in the process of getting maybe one or two prospects. And if you're going to sell, if you're the Yankees, you got to sell the big guys that you have. You got to sell Rizzo. You're going to have to sell Donaldson. You're going to have to sell somebody that you're just going to have to unload. But the problem is for the Yankees, they can be in a partial sale all they want. Who wants these guys? Who wants Donaldson's contract? Who's a late 30-year-old third baseman who can't stay healthy.
Prime. Yeah,
very past prime. Can't stay healthy. DJ LeMahieu. Who's going to want DJ LeMahieu right now? And I love DJ LeMahieu. I love DJ being a LSU guy, but he's past his prime and he's not doing a lot right now. And he can't stay healthy. Gleyber Torres, if Gleyber Torres position-wise is your best tradable piece, you're in trouble and to be a selling team. So what if you're the Yankees they're in trade purgatory right now. They can't do anything. They can't buy and they can't sell because nobody wants the contracts that they paid these guys, and they're underwhelming. If you had a little bit more production out of some of these guys, easier to be able to trade. But you know you're not getting anything out of them offensively. You're not getting any production from them. Why take the risk if you're a team to make that move? That's why, like, the Marlins interested in Gleyber Torres makes no sense to me because you already have an abundance of middle infielders in Miami that you're trying to move guys around. You have John Birdie playing third base sometimes. You have Jazz Chisholm playing center field. You're moving guys around. What are you going to do with Gleyber Torres? You're going to put him at third base? Absolutely not. So there's not a lot for the Yankees to really be able to do to sell. Just like they clearly can't be a buying team right now, so they're stuck. And I'm not shocked right now that they're not able to make any moves. I don't see anybody really saying, yeah, I got to have that guy who's on the Yankees, and let's have a conversation to see how we can make it work. And you eat some of that money. There's nothing there for them to do that.
Plus Rizzo. I watched last night's game. 0 for 5 strikeouts last night. He looked bad.
They're all
he's
hot.
He's hot
seasons,
when he's
bro.
cold. He's cold. I love Rizzo.
Yeah, he's ice cold right now. He's ice cold right now.
They're all cold, bro. If your name ain't Aaron Judge, you having a down year, yo.
I wanted to say this. They had Herman was supposed to start. He got scratched, so I think they almost had a deal in place for him to be traded. And then they bring him in as a reliever. Maybe a trade fell through, or what do you think happened there, Jonathan?
There's a lot of different reports. So they're saying that there was a potential trade. There was an injury that got reported that was misreported. I don't know that again, and that's not the cherry on top of the Yankees right now. There's just it's kind of been a little dysfunctional. I mean, tell me about that. I mean, like
it's getting bad, bro.
That's the cherry on top right now. That's the best description of Aaron Boone's 2023 for New York right now. And there's just so much out of the realm of what's going on in the Bronx. I think that nobody really knows. So was it a trade deal that fell through? If that's the case, that's on Brian Cashman then, which is another one who's probably going to lose his job here at the end of the season. And if it wasn't a trade that went through, it was more of an injury that was misreported, that's on Aaron Boone then. So somebody, somewhere, somehow got screwed up and completely thrown in a loop that is the true definition of the New York Yankees in 2023.
Hey, I'm all here for it. The Cardinals in last. The Yankees are in last. I'm all here for it. It's a great baseball season. I don't even care if what the Cubs do. The Yankees and Cardinals are in dead last, so that means the Cubs
I'll ask you guys, Johnny and Jonathan and Nick especially. Do you guys think Boone and Cashman are both gone at the end of the year? Or do you think it's
I wish it would happen. It's for some reason it seems like Brian Cashman is basically a part of the Steinbrenner family because it seems like he has a lifetime contract, even though he's the one that put this roster together, and the roster is old, unathletic, and like Jonathan said, nobody wants none of those pieces that they got. So they like he said, they're stuck there. There's nothing that they can do. There's a couple of young relievers that they might be able to trade, but again, those are young relievers. Why do you want to trade those? So it's just bad contract after bad contract, bad trade. That Stanton trade was one of the worst things. I went on a rant. Check out the Johnny Cruz show. I went on a nice rant about my frustration with Aaron Boone and with Brian Cashman, the whole organization. Like, they're not even fun to watch, bro. It is complete dysfunction. I think Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman should go. I don't see Brian Cashman going, but Aaron Boone. I think Boone's gone. When you say in a press conference after your team struck out 18 times that aside from the strikeouts, I thought our guys put together good at bats. Are you tripping? Like, seriously? 18 strikeouts, but they put together good at bats? Come on, man.
Boone is gone at the end of the season. I actually think Brian Cashman gets reassigned. I think Brian Cashman will just be the team president, and they will look for a new general manager. They're not going to fire Cashman and remove him completely from the team. Like Johnny said, he's basically part of the Steinbrenner family. He's got so much cachet for the franchise that they'll reassign him and keep him on board in some capacity. But they're going to fire a new general manager just because there's no justification of him as a general manager of what's going on in New York with the contracts, with the deals. Like you have one of the oldest rosters together with the young guys that you have in your farm coming up and have done absolutely nothing in this season as well. You had the youth movement opportunity and you have failed in the youth movement opportunity. along with the older rosters not doing anything, especially in today's 2023 baseball game where the pitch clock makes the game faster. Young athletes handle this better. Older athletes, that we've kind of seen so far, and we talked about this with you guys, older athletes are struggling at this point of the season to keep up with the speed of the game. Younger athletes are maintaining. So you're stuck right now. So I think Cashman is gone as a general manager, but he stays on as team president. Aaron Boone, it's already on the wall. And if they stay in last place in September, I don't think he finishes the season. I think they probably at that point, if they get eliminated from the postseason play, he gets fired immediately.
Jonathan, we'll get you out of here on this. I got a 2-part question for you. What do the Guardians do? It seems like they're sellers, but they're only a half game out of first. And is somebody in that division going to win this thing and make the playoffs with a sub 500 record or at 500? I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of baseball.
Guardians,
Get ready.
The Guardians have to sell. They're going to have to. I've said this with on Tuesdays with Alan Scott as well. Like, okay, if the winner of this division, it gets a participation trophy. Thank you for qualifying. You get to play a real playoff team. Thank you for your 2-3 games that you'll play, and we'll send you off on your vacation from there. Like there's no justification that this.
I watched the Twins play yesterday live, and they got beat by the Royals 2-1. And I mean, the Twins got swept by the Royals. They stink.
Yeah.
They don't even have a good. Like I watched them live, and I was like, I felt like, who the fuck are these guys?
Check. Tune in tomorrow. And that's what Scott's. I know Scott's about to pull up. Tune in tomorrow because I stupidly I have my damn list still right here. My power rankings for July, and stupid me put the damn Minnesota Twins in the top 10 of the freaking list. So tune in tomorrow because I'm an idiot freaking minute and rant about how dumb I am for believing an NAL Central team should be in the top 10 rankings. Absolutely not. Check that in tomorrow.
What time is the show tomorrow, Scott? What time is the show?
4 p.m. Eastern.
There you go, people.
Hey, Jonathan, Scott likes you as the co-host because he remembers that he has a baseball show on Monday nights, and he never mentions that him and Alan do a show together on Sundays. You are the reason he shows up to that show.
2/3 of us on the baseball show put the Twins in the top 10 of the power rankings, and one of them was not me. That's all I'm going to say. So Alan and Jonathan.
My honest opinion, I don't really care who wins this division.
Are they going to finish above 500?
No.
We're going to have a first baseball team not finish above 500. Do you think?
To win the
I don't know.
I thought it happened once. I think I researched this. I think it happened once before. I thought the San Diego Padres did it once in the either early 2000s or the late 90s. I know the Padres did. I don't know if they won the division, though. I have to go back and research on that. But I thought it happened one other.
Alan, look it up. I know you're in the comments. Look it up. Alan's the numbers guy. He'll look it up.
Yeah, so like I said,
Alan.
But, I mean, at the same time, though, I don't care. I don't care who wins this division. I don't care because no matter who it is, and I hope the damn Tigers just get hot and win 80 games and win the division, so Miguel Cabrera can have a chance to be in there and play his 2 games in the postseason, send him off into the sunset. I don't care about this division.
I hope they finish below 500 and they win the whole damn thing. That's what I hope. I just hope that
would be the complete 2023 thing to happen. is a team in the AL,
Minnesota Twins that you have at 10.
Minnesota Twins, finish under 500. They win the division, and they are all of a sudden the hottest team in the postseason, and they run the table. That would be the complete 2023 thing to happen. But at the point right now, I'm not putting money on that. I'm not even saying that could happen. I don't care. I don't care about the Twins. I don't care about the Guardians. Sorry about that, but I've lost all hope. I said. Participation trophy is what they're going to get.
Padres.
And 2005 Padres.
Okay. So, no, I don't want to. I'm so pissed off at myself for buying into to fool's gold of what the Minnesota Twins were, and I'm done with them. So I'm done with the division. I'm absolutely done with it.
Dead to him.
Yes.
Way to piss off our guest there, man.
I think the first 5 minutes of the baseball show tomorrow, I'm going to have to host so Jonathan and Alan can.
I am taking a very late lunch tomorrow so that I can watch the show tomorrow at work.
Yeah, I'm listening.
And Jonathan's comments. This is what he said. I'm putting the Twins at 10. Twins, you better not let me down and screw it up. And sure enough, the Twins went out and lost 5 of the next 6.
Yeah, as soon as I say that, all of a sudden I get a message from Alan and Scott that day. Hey, Twins lost. The next day, Twins lost again. The next day, Twins lost. I'm like, son of a bitch. Last thing I like happening is making myself wrong and look like a fool. And the Minnesota Twins made me look like a fool.
Oh my God.
Well, you do that every day when you represent the LSU Tigers, so you know what I'm saying.
I mean,
with the dagger.
Don't hate that my LSU baseball Tigers probably would win the AL Central right now if they were playing. So, my goodness, I mean, we would have the best pitcher and the best 2 hitters, and Paul and Tommy White and Dylan Cruz. So send the LSU baseball team to the American League Central, and we win the division.
Jonathan, what about petitioning to go to the AL Central? The Red Sox are petitioning. I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
What do you got going on this weekend as far as Alpha?
Oh, we are starting fall practices this week. So we had some time off. Everybody got to rest and relax. I got to hit the golf course and relax a little bit. So we start back up on Wednesday practices, doing nothing but workouts, kind of getting some tryouts, adding some players to the organization, and then getting ourselves ramped up for fall tournaments here in September. So we have nothing but workout-wise, training, teaching, educating our athletes how to work out and how to train. At the same time, kind of been finding ways to fine-tune and improve our mechanics and improve our skill set as ball players. So we're going to have a lot of work to be done. It's a very exciting time for that I view this. I love this part. This is what I'll say this. I'm one of the few retired players that actually love to train and work out and practice. I miss this part. So this is something that I kind of, educate the athletes on why this is so important. And gets us ready for the next that next step of this season. So we start fall practice on Wednesday. We'll do our workout on gym day. So our 12U to 18-year-olds will be in the gym on Friday. Again, teaching our athletes how to work out, the proper mechanics and techniques that's necessary to, one, do things the right way, but also at the same time do it the right way to keep us healthy and safe. Big aspect of being an athlete is being able to train correctly and safely. So I'm very excited. I love this part of the season, the time that we have, and it's a big part of it for them to learn this.
Awesome, bro.
Awesome. Hey, well, we appreciate you joining us every Monday. Man who hates the Mets and the Twins, everybody. No one other than Mr. Baseball himself, Jonathan Grisham.
Thank you, John.
Appreciate it, guys.
Have a good one, bro.
He's put the whole division in the wood chipper.
he just put everybody on blast.
I was sitting there like, but how do you really feel, bro?
If you want to hear a rant tomorrow, listen to the baseball show. He's going to totally go off on the Twins. I can just tell.
I'm serious. I'm going to take a late lunch tomorrow. I'm going to take lunch from 4 to 5. I just won't take lunch until the end of the day so I can watch that show. That's going to be fun.
Oh, it's going to be classic.
But we'll go ahead and get our final.
Okay. All right. So
you're just cutting off everybody today. Dude.
I am.
Hey, we out.
Tanner ain't here, so he's going crazy. Yeah, my final thought is I wish that they would move Brian Cashman to the president's role and get a new general manager for the Yankees. Do something. But it's like I said, I went on a rant earlier on the Johnny Cruz show, so check it out. If you get an opportunity, I went on a rant about the Yankees because, again, that was the stupidest thing I ever heard a manager say. And a manager who has been in baseball his whole life. His dad played, his grandfather played, his brothers played. For you to say, aside from the strikeouts, 18 of them, by the way, I thought they put together good at bats. Like, bro, like all your credibility is gone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're so full of shit, bro.
But to his, I'm going to rebuttal that. To his credit, you can strike out and still have a good at bat. If you're looking at 3 pitches, maybe not. But
team.
I get that. But you can still have a good at bat if you're fouling off, looking at pitches. I'm not saying 18.
No, I get it's possible for one or two of them.
Yeah, one or two of them. Maybe not 18, probably not. But
the worst part is that it's constant, Nick. I mean, it don't like we can get our asses beat like 10-0 and just get completely destroyed. And he'd be like, yeah, but this guy had a good at bat, and this guy made good contact. Like, bro, get upset. Like he is so scared to say anything at all negative about his team, because that's what got Joe Girardi fired.
Yep.
Is him making the comments about Sanchez, and then all of a sudden, like you can't put pressure, you can't get critical of your team. That's ridiculous, man. That's why I think Brian Cashman has to go too. I will take him being moved to the president's role and get me an actual GM that knows, that actually knows what he's doing. Because not for nothing, as much as Brian Cashman gets love, he's got one championship in 20-something years, and like, come on now, shit ain't working. Something needs to change. So that's my takeaway. Besides that, thank you for coming out. God bless you. Good night, everybody.
Tim, go ahead and we'll go to you. Your final thoughts.
Well, here we are Monday. I got a kid coming August 15th that we are preparing for. It's always interesting when you get into these kind of times and whatnot. And I don't know. I'm super excited, and I hope there's something in everybody's life that they're looking forward to. Pads popping at practice today, gentlemen.
Yes.
Football. Yeah,
Yes,
I did a live look-in at Titans training camp and just said, I don't want the camera to go anywhere else. Give me the linemen practicing all day freaking long, baby.
You didn't want to see D-Hop out there catching passes. It's
I saw him mugging Kevin Byard and them laughing about it. I was like, bro, throw a punch.
Hey, Sam, do you know what the sex of the baby is?
It's a boy.
Oh, and
Bonnie
twins
is
are
going
girls,
to roll
right?
over a boy. Yeah. 2 girls and a boy.
Nice. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So-
Little
so-
Nick
so
Bodkins Dean
Baby
on
first
the
down.
way.
Baby first down coming.
Yeah. The girls have jerseys that say misses second down and misses third down. So
Nice.
I guess it's only fair
That's
that it's
cool.
baby. Maybe I'll just put Junior on the back of it and say it like Sean Connery every time, something along those lines. So
Yeah, you can't call
football's
him
back.
fourth down. You've already been given that nickname.
Yeah, I know. See, I carry 2 nicknames. I got to trademark them both. Just go ahead and get a quarter anytime anybody mentions it, I guess.
Nice.
Scott, who we betting on tomorrow? On your final thoughts here.
So we got the Braves against the Angels, the Rays against the Yankees,
Yeah.
and the Padres against Colorado. Those are my 3 bets. Tim Patrick tore his Achilles today at practice, so he is out for the year.
ACL tore his ACL last year. Achilles. That's usually how it goes. They're back to back like that.
This guy is totally stake bit. I feel really bad for him. He was going to be a really good receiver in the Sean Payton offense this year. So shout out to Tim Patrick. It's a tough blow going through rehab again and the surgery or whatever he's got to go through. But guy was supposed last year was going to be Russell Wilson's number 1 and number 2 target, and the ACL. And then this year he's coming into training camp, had a full day. He looked really good. Sources were saying, and then today tore his Achilles. So, guys like things like that happen to good guys like Tim Patrick is really bad. So I feel for him a lot. So hopefully his spirits are up, and hopefully he's going to hit the rehab with vigor and ready to go. So,
all right. So my final thought process is just enjoy the people in your life. Man, I had a great weekend Friday.
Yeah.
I went to the
great pictures.
Yeah, went to the baseball game with a couple of my buddies. Shout out to my brother Craig Koger. It was his birthday yesterday, so we went Friday night to the Cubs Cards game. Incredible game. Then you got to turn around, and it's a different mindset, right? With your buddies, you're drinking, having a great time watching the game. Then you have a turn around and your dad and taking your daughters to a different baseball game, and you get to be a dad. And you're eating ice cream instead of house and beers, but it's still making memories for yourself and for them, and and just enjoying it and showing your love for the game to them, and just experiencing all. I was asked probably 500 questions, what the score was, what inning we were in, every inning. But it really enjoyed it, because they just, they don't know, or they just didn't know, and this and that. So it was a lot of fun. My daughter asked me, she thought they only played 4 innings. And I said, no, they played 9. And she's like, well, we only play 4. And then my other daughter said, no, dummy, we play 7. And I said, it doesn't matter. We play 9, they play 9. And she's like, I don't know what she's like, I don't know why I got 4 from. Oh, she's like, that's because Dad said we could move our seats after the 4th inning. So that's
Hey, Nick, did I see you met somebody special at the Royals game? One Italy Jet?
That was at the Cardinals game. Yeah, shout out Italy Jet in St. Louis. Shout out to Italy Jet as well. It was a pleasure meeting him. He's does the covers. Italy Jet from Missouri. I'd like to clarify that. It was an honor meeting him. I've now met 3 people now from the LTS network, and someday I hope to meet in person as well as several. I love meeting people that we've done shows with and met with, because you get a cool vibe with people across the way. But when you get to meet them in person, as I got to meet Mr. Johnny Cruz this summer, it's something special, because you're like, shit, man, a lot of it, I didn't think he was that fucking big. So, but you
were bigger than I thought.
Yeah. But enjoy your moment, enjoy your time with your people, your family, your friends. Go to a baseball game, man. It's a lot of fun. It's even if you don't like baseball.
Right. Take the kids to a game, man. It sounds like you had a perfect weekend, bro. You got one night with the fellas to enjoy a game, and then you out with the kids the next night.
Yeah, shout out to my wife.
Doesn't get any better than that, man.
Yeah, I got a shout out to my wife. She holds the fort down. Lets me go, Craig said it best. He's like, you have the best wife, because your wife, and I tell people all the time, I do have the best wife. She's the only person I've ever met. And when you found your special person, when they just want you to be happy. I tell people all the time, if I came up with the idea that I wanted to rub peanut butter and jelly all over my naked body and run through our neighborhood, my wife said, we're probably going to get the cops called, but if that makes you happy, you could go do that. So shout out to my wife. She just, always
that's awesome.
Shout out to the women in our lives as well. So shout out. Hey, we'll be back Thursday night, folks, 8:00 Central, 9 Eastern, as always. AFC South preview. We're going to be previewing Sam's shitty division with none other than Rios from the Just Fans guys, if they make it back alive from the Guardians.
From the Astros game today.
So everybody's favorite drunk uncle, Rios, will be joining us Thursday night.
Hide your kids. Hide your wife.
Yes. Probably not a great show for kids. So everybody take your kids to sleep, put your kids to bed early, and join us Thursday night, 8:00 Central, 9 Eastern, for our AFC South showdown. Be a friend. Tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. Johnny, hit that outro. It's been another great show. Jonathan for Jonathan Grisham and Jim Barons are joining us every Monday. I'm Bodkin to the fellas. See you. It's been another great LTS show. Johnny, hit that outro, baby.
For free.
One life better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts.
Could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody and stained from the people who deceive me.